April 9th, 1988. We take you to Caesars Palace, where the unbeaten WBA and IBF champ Evander Holyfield battles for the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship crown against the WBC champ Carlos De Leon. Both fighters are on a roll. De Leon enters the fight with 43 wins, 28 by knockout. Holyfield, the 1984 Olympic bronze medalist, packs a powerful punch as well. He's knocked out 11 of his last 12 opponents, including the last 5. A big showing in this fight will likely propel Evander into the heavyweight ranks. 3 belts are brought to the table between these two fighters, with the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship on the line. The Real Deal, next on Classic Night at the Fights.
The Cruiserweight unification fight. Carlos De Leon, Evander Holyfield. And right now, Carlos De Leon, the 28-year-old Puerto Rican native, veteran of 43 wins, is making his way to the ring here at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside the Iceman, John Scully. And John, I know you've had the chance to actually get to know Carlos Sugar De Leon back in his native land.
Well, I actually spent a little bit of time at his gym in Caguas, Puerto Rico, and got to see him there. And he's definitely, you know, in his homeland, he's a star. He's a big star. And, you know, if he could pull out a victory here, they'll be celebrating in the streets back in Puerto Rico. I can guarantee you that. He's definitely respected and well known there.
Lost and regained the WBC Cruiserweight title twice before. Now looking to own all 3 belts. But in order to do that, he has to pull the upset against one of the fiercest fighters in the game today. Only 25 years old and already giving a sense of greatness and many more accomplishments to come. 17-0, Evander, the Real Deal, Holyfield. Flanked by his support team, led in by the venerable Luduva. Evander Holyfield coming off of the rematch with Dwight Muhammad Qawi. Of course, the most memorable fight so far in the career of Holyfield was the Classic back in July of '86, coming up to the 2-year anniversary of that fight against Qawi. An absolute war in Holyfield's hometown of Atlanta. Holyfield won a 15-round split decision. The next time around, which was December of '87 against Qawi, his most recent fight, he took care of business, a knockout in 4 rounds. Evander Holyfield, 6'2½", checked in right at the cruiserweight limit of 190 pounds. John Scully, what are your expectations of Holyfield tonight?
I'm expecting him to be a ball of energy. I mean, so far he's shown, even as an amateur and in his fights with Qawi, he's becoming more of a complete fighter, but he relies on letting his hands go. He comes to work, comes to fight, definitely.
We are ready for action here at the Sports Pavilion at Caesars Palace. Let's send it up to the ring for the national anthem and the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for our color guard of the evening from the United States Marine Corps. And now I would ask you all please to rise as we pay honor to our country by the playing of our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the WBC at ringside is Mr. Marty Minkin of Los Angeles, California, the lead supervisor. The IBC representative is Marion Muhammad of Irvington, New Jersey, and the WBA representative, Mr. Fred Lamson of Louisville, Kentucky. Representing the Nevada State Athletic Commission at ringside, the chairman of that body, Mr. Herb Santos. The officials assigned by the governing bodies for the next bout of the afternoon. The judges are Larry O'Connell of London, England, of the WBC, Mr. Bob Watson of Detroit, Michigan, for the IBF, and Mr. Dolby Shirley of Las Vegas, Nevada, for the WBA. The timekeeper is Mike Lachella. Counting in the knockdowns, Al Bisick. The attending physician ringside, Doctors Donald Romeo, Flip Omansky, and James Game. And your referee is Mills Lane. This is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship of the World. Introducing, in the red corner, fighting out of Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico, weighing in at 188 pounds, with a professional record of 43 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw with 29 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBC Super Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Carlos De Leon. And in the blue corner, from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing 190 pounds. He is undefeated in his professional career with 17 wins, no defeats, and 13 KOs. Introducing the undefeated IBF and WBA Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Evander Holyfield.
Back up. Okay, back, take a step back. Now, if he goes right here, I'm not going to call it low. It's all right? I'm not going to call it low if he goes here.
Well, look where
if he goes here, I'm not going to call it low.
Fine, okay,
all right?
Okay, fine.
I already had your instructions. Any questions over here?
Right over here. Right, that's what you're going to do.
Well, right. Any questions over here? Let's get it on. Come on. All right.
Well, John Scully, somewhere there is a comedy tour waiting to happen if they could ever sign Mills Lane and the cornerman Lou Duva up together to tour. That was a very interesting exchange. As you heard Duva, the trainer for Evander Holyfield, pointing out the trunks and the belt line of Carlos Sugar De Leon, saying, boy, those seem awfully high. What's the deal here, Mills? What do you make of that, John? You think they're a little too high? They're going to give him that belt line easily, as Holyfield loves to go to the bottom.
Right. Not necessarily. I mean, a lot of times trainers, especially a guy like Lou Duva, I mean, trainers are psychologists, and they want to draw attention to that just to kind of offset De Leon, maybe get De Leon thinking like, wow, is this guy really planning on going to my body? Did I do enough sit-ups? Am I ready? Because that's a fragile time. When you're getting ready for that bell to ring, all these questions come in, and something like that might not seem like a big deal, but it could get, if De Leon, maybe De Leon has an upset stomach in the dressing room. Now he's thinking, wow, I'm going to get hit in the stomach. I'm going to throw up maybe, you know, so that was kind of a good move on Lou's part.
Just one of the many plot twists and the nature of the psychology of the sweet science. And as you can see, Carlos Sugar De Leon is wearing those red trunks a little high above the navel, but you heard Mills Lane point out that the belt is good for Evander Holyfield. Holyfield trying to find the target with that left hook, misses there, pushes back and sends De Leon into the corner, and then sends in a right hand.
And I like that. I like the way he did that. I'm surprised he got away with it as aggressively as he pushed De Leon, but the way De Leon is obviously planning on boxing a strategic boxing type of fight, Holyfield needs to get on him early physically to force him to kind of get roughed up a little bit and get him out of his rhythm, because if you don't get physical with him, De Leon will stay in that rhythm. He could do that all night.
De Leon dug to the body. Holyfield free to throw some hooks upstairs. Both men setting a fast pace early on here in round one. Holyfield misses with the right hand, but is pressuring with that left hook to the body, and good infighting now from both guys. There's a right hand to the body from De Leon. Goes downstairs again before coming up top with a left hook, and Holyfield turns him around and brings him into that red corner. Holyfield is, I mean, these are big guys at 190 pounds and athletic guys, these cruiserweights. But Holyfield is a real physical presence here at 190 pounds.
Right. It's very obvious. Like I say, even back to his amateur days, I mean, he's very conscious of the fact that his physicality is a big part of his game, pushing the guy around. He has a good concept of that, and a lot of fighters don't. They think it's just throwing punches. You throw punches and I throw punches, and there's a lot more to boxing, professional boxing. There's a lot more to it than that, and Holyfield definitely seems to have grasped that concept.
Making that physical presence felt early on here. Opening round of this scheduled 12-round title unification bout.
See, and De Leon is actually holding his own for the most part on the inside. He does pretty well, but I think the Qawi fight showed that you don't want to stay with that all night.
End of one. WBC cruiserweight champion Carlos Sugar de Leon. He said that he would be looking for his opportunities against Evander Holyfield while boxing smart. John Scully, tell me what, if any, opportunities you see here.
Well, I think they're not throwing big shots. They're trying to see what they can get through. They're trying to find their range. And, you know, the first round, you want to trade shots and see where you can get through. Now, Holyfield just saw that he could get the left hook to the body through there. So I anticipate you'll see more of that in the future. Other shots, he might have hit elbow, and he won't use that as much in the future.
So the Iceman says, look for the left hook to the body from Evander Holyfield. Holyfield stated his game plan to pressure De Leon and try to wear him down. Feels that he has the superior conditioning and strength and power, and that'll pay off at the end. A straight right hand came in from Evander Holyfield.
See, De Leon, like I say, now there's the left hook to the body. I think he's going to stay with that more. And now it seems Holyfield's touching him with it. That's what they say. You touch him with it. Now you see if you can get it through. If he can find a home for it, he'll start ripping it. He'll start digging it as it goes. So I would look for that. That's the way I kind of see it unfolding here. Like that. Keep trying to find the spot.
There's a good left hand to the body. Got right around that elbow, did Holyfield.
Now, I like what Holyfield did there, too. He stepped to his right. Now, it doesn't look like much watching it on TV, but for him to step over to the right like that, it forces De Leon to find him. And that's only 6 or 7 inches, but that's a big difference when you're actually in there trading the shots.
De Leon tries with the left uppercut on the inside, but so far, the early going here has been dominated by the pressuring attack of Holyfield, although his pace slows just a bit here. Left hook upstairs.
It's good shots, but De Leon is doing pretty good, but one thing I would worry about if I was him is he's against the ropes. And,
yeah, he's been sitting there for a bit.
Anybody watching the fight would assume you're losing if you're against the ropes. Now, he might feel good in there.
Oh, it's a good shot came in there.
That didn't feel good. See, now he's getting
another left
up.
hand comes in. That was a good, solid left hand by Evander Holyfield.
He's hurt. His legs are a little wobbly.
Carlos De Leon, a little wobbly on those legs, and he eats another left hand that now sends him into the neutral corner.
See, you hang around the ropes, you're going to get what you ask for sooner or later.
Didn't take long at all. Holyfield landing on that mark. Split the guard with a left hand moments ago, too. So this is now turned into a very big second round for Evander Holyfield.
And still he waits. I don't know if he doesn't have confidence in his legs or what the case may be, but De Leon is waiting. He's a sitting duck. He can block a lot of shots, but with a guy like Holyfield who has a high punch output, you're going to get caught sooner or later.
De Leon tries to fire back. Has some limited success with the right hand, but once again, his back against the ropes, and Holyfield has been finding the target time and time again with the left hand. That was a big second round for Holy.
Tienes que boxearlo, ¿ok? No te bajes.
No te bajes más, chicos. Centro el rico, ven ya, ¿qué pasa? No vayas a la soga con él, ya vele. Ya vele, tú estás entendiendo. Ya vele, para que se canse, vamos a quitarle fuerza.
Now see, he's waiting there. You can see he's not in a position to punch back. He's bent backwards. The upper half of his body is leaning backwards. So even if he wanted to punch, he couldn't get any leverage on that. This is just target practice for Holyfield. As long as he stays there, he's going to get beat down the whole night. And you see he's hurt there. His legs failed him. And you can't, unless you're a master against the ropes, you can't just wait there and let Holyfield tee off on you, because he's going to catch you sooner or later.
Carlos De Leon, veteran of 47 fights. Evander Holyfield, this just the 18th fight of his pro career. Of course, such an accomplished amateur. And he has said that if he shines tonight, if this fight goes the way it's supposed to go, that this will be his last fight as a cruiserweight. You don't hear of a lot of guys unifying, becoming an undisputed champion, and then vacating and then leaving. But he wants the big riches of the heavyweight division. He wants to go north, and earlier when they were showing the national anthem footage of everybody ringside, you may have noticed Mike Tyson. A potential Holyfield-Tyson fight has been talked about, John Scully, but of course Holyfield has business in front of him here tonight. Is it a distraction to have the heavyweight champion of the world sitting ringside when there's been so much talk of a mega fight between the two of them?
Oh, it certainly could be. And, you know, Holyfield's human, and as many may or may not know, they have a history together as amateurs. Back in '84, they were in Olympic training camps together. They no doubt sparred with each other. And so they were two of the brightest amateurs. Tyson was a well-known amateur. And so there's a lot of history there. A lot of people would want to see them fight each other. But you can't overlook a guy. Even though he looks to be in control of the fight, you can't overlook this guy. This guy has a lot of fights. He's been a champion for a long time. And he doesn't want to give up his title easy, I don't think.
Round 3. Big crowd at Caesars Palace to see if Evander Holyfield can unify the titles or if Carlos De Leon can pull the upset. Uppercut on the inside. De Leon comes back with a 3-punch combination upstairs. Mike Tyson unified the heavyweight titles when he beat Tony Tucker last August. And he just returned from Japan a few weeks ago, where he had a TKO of Tony Tubbs in the second round.
See, there's too much time against the ropes. Now, he answers back on occasion and does well, but anybody watching is going to say the guy with his back to the ropes is losing. And it's a case of Holyfield is punching because he wants to, where De Leon is punching because he has to. He's fighting back. He's being forced to fight back. I don't think if Holyfield wasn't doing anything, I don't think De Leon would do anything either, it looks like. And, you know, the judges are definitely aware of that. It's very obvious. You can't be defensive posture all the time. Even if you're against ropes, you have to look like you're trying to dictate the fight. He looks like he's trying to, if anything, maybe he thinks he could wear Holyfield down, but make him punch himself out or something.
But the look of it is the complete opposite. It looks like a fight in which Holyfield is wearing De Leon down.
Yeah, you know, Holyfield sets that pace, and you know, he's a strong guy. You can tell by looking at him, he's obviously a strong guy. He showed in the first quality fight he can throw punches all night.
That was a classic, an absolute classic. So Evander Holyfield shining bright in the Vegas night at the end of 3, trying to unify the cruiserweight titles. Round 4, Joe Tessitore alongside the Iceman, John Scully. For most of this decade, Carlos De Leon has been a cruiserweight champion. Won the title against Marvin Campbell back in 1980. Lost it and regained it 2 times. Now, the biggest challenge of his career, Evander Holyfield, tagging him with a series of lefts and rights to open up this 4th round. He's trying to take all 3 belts. Holyfield holds the WBA and the IBF 190-pound championships. De Leon, the WBC.
right now, it just looks like Holyfield's actually getting stronger as the time goes. He looks sharp, and I think, I know for a fact De Leon feels that. He feels the tide is even leaning further towards Holyfield. And as a champion, I mean, he's going to have to dig down and do something here noticeable. Now, those pity-pat punches he's doing, you know, I don't know if he's tired or his muscles are fatigued or whatever the case may be, but he's not going to keep his title doing that. That's for sure. He looked like in the beginning of the fight he had like there. He's getting a little bounce. He has a pretty good jab. You know, the jab would be a huge key against Holyfield, but he's just not doing it for whatever reason.
Brings up a very good question for you, John Scully. When you look at Holyfield and you see how physically imposing he is and how he has the heart of a warrior, the speed, the skill, how he's the complete package, what is the answer? What is the game plan for any fighter if you had to dream up a fighter and a strategy to defeat Evander Holyfield? How do you do it? What is it?
My guess, my looking at him, you have to make it a boring fight. You have to jab. A guy with a good jab. A Tommy Hearns type of jab. A Larry Holmes type of jab at that weight. Guys, too often they have a good jab, but they think they're supposed to do so much more, and they're supposed to throw so many more punches. And Holyfield loves that. He eats that up. That falls right into his game plan. And, you know, I think you'd have to try to beat Holyfield on a dull decision.
So take his fight away from him.
Oh, of course, you can't. This guy's a beast. He's a monster. He lets his hands go. I mean, he lets his hands go like a lightweight would.
He does right there with bad intentions.
And he, you know, you see there he's using his shoulder. He knows how to maneuver. He knows how to get these guys out of position so that they can't hit him back because they're against the ropes. I mean, Holyfield could fight 100 rounds like this. And I don't think De Leon could. De Leon's not going to take these punches all night. He's got to, you know, you have to use that jab. You have to get in the center of the ring. Everybody knows with a guy like Evander, you have to be in the center of the ring. You can't let him line you up and maneuver you. See how he uses his shoulder there, and he takes little steps to the right or left, and he makes you look for him.
Right hand again scores well for Evander Holyfield. End of 4. WBC champion Carlos De Leon with that ice bag on the back of his neck, and here's a reason why, John Scully.
At this point, every round is basically the same. Every good sequence is basically the same. He's got his back to the rope. So even if he was to do well in these exchanges, he's against the rope. So Holyfield is always going to be able to find him. He's always going to be able to return fire and hit something. He should be out in the center of the ring where he could slip and move to the side and not give Holyfield an easy target to return to.
The undefeated IBF and WBA cruiserweight champion. In control here at Caesars Palace,
Here we go,
the sports pavilion, where the cruiserweight titles are to be unified tonight. And so far, Evander Holyfield well on his way to doing that. 4 rounds in the books, 4 rounds in favor of Holyfield. And good, consistent work from the jab to open up this 5th round.
See, now he's got the right idea. He's getting on his toes. He's boxing, but he's throwing that one jab and he's dropping it. I mean, I don't know. Conditioning could be a factor. I mean, maybe he's got an injury or something, but he doesn't seem to have that spark into him. He doesn't have that good bounce. He looks like he can't maintain it for more than 5 or 6 seconds at a time.
Mills Lane handing out the warning to Carlos Sugar De Leon about that combination that strayed just a touch below the belt. That's ironic, considering that the pre-fight talk was about the trunk level and belt line of De Leon. Concerns with Holyfield potentially being worn for Mills Lane and straying low. Back to the jab now for Holy. 17-0. Cruiserweight champion holding 2 of the belts, looking for number 3, and possibly looking to exit this division. His handlers say it would take a good 6 months to get him north of 200 pounds, where his body would be comfortable, his speed and power would be maintained, and he could be an effective heavyweight. John Scully, your opinion on Evander Holyfield moving to heavyweight. Is it realistic? Is it something that you would recommend if you were managing his career?
Well, it's realistic, but I'm not sure how much weight he wants to gain, because I mean, if I weigh 160 and then they get me up to 175, that doesn't mean I'm a light heavyweight just because I actually weigh 175.
Just means you weigh 175.
Exactly.
Sometimes, right?
I mean, he wants to go up. I would go up a little over 200 and maintain your strength. Because if anything, you go too high, you're gonna ruin a lot of aspects of your game. I mean, if he's strong and if he can take a punch, adding weight's not going to help that. If he can take the heavyweight's punch, he can do it at 202, 205.
Sent off a good combination moments ago and comes with the right hand behind the jab, does Holyfield. Of course, John, it wasn't long ago that many heavyweight champions weighed what a current cruiserweight weighs. Right. I mean, Evander Holyfield, who entered the ring tonight at 190 pounds and checked in at 6'2½", he would have been a heavyweight champion years ago. Those were the marks of heavyweight champions.
Joe Louis, from what I've read, was 198. I mean,
Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, you look at Frazier, the night he beat Ali in the first fight, he was only 205. You know, these weren't big guys. Holyfield would have been right in there. And again, those guys were strong people. And weighing 220 is not going to make him any stronger. I don't think so.
End of 5. And if things don't change, it'll be the end of the line for Carlos De Leon's hopes of being an undisputed champion.
Ahí es donde te agarra. Dale, de afuera. Centro del ring, vamos a cansarlo, tocarlo un poco. Está cansado ya. Hable, necesita algo. Vamos. ¿Qué quieres? Vamos. ¿Quieres que ganar? Ok. Es tu oportunidad, Sugar. No la desperdicies, por favor. Respira profundo. Tira el jab al pecho recto para que te cubra, ¿ok? Bota el aire para la boca. Vamos otra vez. Respira por ahí, bota el aire para la boca. Vamos.
Now here you see again, De Leon's back to the ropes. And Holyfield, now he's starting to dig in with harder shots. He's not going to pick at him and just touch him anymore. Now he's going to start unloading 3- and 4-punch combinations. And De Leon's firing back a little bit, but he can't get the leverage off the ropes like he wants to.
25-year-old unbeaten Evander Holyfield, seemingly in complete control against the 28-year-old, 43-win veteran Carlos Sugar De Leon. John, after that 5th round, Esteban Garcia and the rest of the corner of Carlos Sugar De Leon, they had such a sense of urgency. What would you be telling De Leon? How would you be advising him to try to overcome these strafing attacks from Holyfield as he continues to headhunt here in round number 6?
I would tell him things. I don't know if he could carry it out, but you want to grab Holyfield by the arms and turn him on the inside. Like he's allowing Holyfield to punch and just punch back. He punches, Holyfield punches. He punches, Holyfield punches. He should use Holyfield's aggression against him, turn him, and let Holyfield come forward and fall to the side. And then De Leon could step around and touch Holyfield a few times before he turns around. But I just don't think he's going to be able to carry that out. It doesn't seem like he has the strength or the overall strength to deal with Evander.
Round number 6, scheduled 12-round unification bout for all 3 cruiserweight titles. Right uppercut lands flush from Holyfield. And now De Leon almost hesitant.
And he keeps going back to that left hand to the body, which he should, Holyfield. And, you know, just like every round is the same. You know, and De Leon has that passive way about him. And I'm not sure, just seeing the way he's boxing, I wouldn't be surprised if after the fight he said something was wrong with him. Maybe his legs felt funny, his stomach felt funny. He looks like something just isn't 100% right with him.
He was hurt in round number 2, staggered back 2 times in that 2nd round. Tried to hang around with Holyfield in that 1st round and had some moments. There was some give and take, some back and forth, and a little bit of pep and spirit and bounce in the legs. But after De Leon got buzzed in that 2nd round, this fight and each round coming after it has looked exactly the same, time after time. Holyfield marching on.
And even though a fighter may not look like it, you know, you could get hurt early in the fight and never recover. You could just be buzzed for the entire fight. And, you know, it could be a thing where after this fight is over, he might not even remember these rounds.
Ate a few more headshots there. Holyfield, a non-stop attack. uppercut lands, as does the left hook, and then he comes right into that corner with a straight right hand, his signature punch.
And I would imagine Holyfield's going to even up his punch output at this point. And another thing I kind of tend to believe is that De Leon is not used to fighting guys that fight at this pace, at this weight.
There aren't many with this size, brawn, bulk, and strength. Let's take a look back, John.
See, again, he's got that sharp right hand. He's got him against the ropes. Now he's starting to dig in with better shots when he has him against the ropes. He's not just touching him.
Now let's go. Now here's what I want you to do. Now look, I want you to go out there and take your time. You understand? Be nice. Stick the guy. I got this. When you get close, hit the guy in the body. Hit him in the body and hit him with double clutch. You understand? You don't have to throw yourself away because the guy's dead, see? If you use your jab, you're going to beat this guy to death. But now you got to go back to jabbing him in the chest. You understand?
You hit him with right hands, you're not coming back with that left hook. Hit him with that right hands, come back with that left hook. Come on.
Ace Murata, Georgie Benton, and Lou Duva in the corner of Evander Holyfield. Giving out the advice that if he acts upon it, could make for a very short evening for what appears to be a worn-down Carlos De Leon. Now, John Scully, Carlos De Leon, obviously a world champion at cruiserweight for the better part of the past 8 years. He's 28 years old. Holyfield is 25 years old, but Holyfield seems so fresh and vibrant and so much on the upside, where De Leon, in watching him on this fight, it brings up a point that you and I discussed earlier. He could quickly turn into an old 28.
Well, exactly. I mean, he turned pro at 15 years of age. He had 10-round fights when he was 18 years old. So he's been getting hit with 10-ounce small gloves by professional fighters since he was, in middle school. That's a tough life. He's been a pro for a long time. So just because a man is 28, in boxing, there's an old 28. There's a 28 that's equal to 40, and there's a 28 that's equal to 18. So I think he's closer to 40 than 28.
We're here on the back half of this 12-round cruiserweight unification bout between Evander Holyfield and Carlos Sugar De Leon. Holyfield has the IBF and WBA belts. Carlos De Leon, owner of the WBC belts. But even if Evander Holyfield takes all 3 belts, there's a very good chance that he could be leaving this cruiserweight division and heading north for the big jackpot of a potential showdown with Iron Mike Tyson, who you may have noticed is sitting ringside right there on the opposite side of the ring with Robin Givens. Straight right hand from Evander Holyfield. Tyson, of course, anticipating a showdown in a couple months with Michael Spinks, but you would have to think fans would be clamoring for a Tyson-Holyfield matchup if Holyfield can pack on the pounds and impress as a heavyweight. Boy, does he impress as a cruiserweight. Right hand over the top.
And he's got that speed. He throws that right hand so fast. And it'd be interesting with him and Tyson, just because Tyson's been fighting so many big guys that hand speed hasn't been their main asset. But he's definitely got speed. And, he'd have to fight a tricky, cagey fight to deal with a guy like Tyson.
Well, let's see what happens when Mike the Spinks meets up with Mike Tyson. Of course, a few weeks ago, Tony Tubbs couldn't get out of the second round against Tyson.
Well, you have to, going straight to Tyson may not be the move here. So, but he's got to get by tonight, which he looks well on his way to doing. But you can never kind of count a guy out, especially a guy that weighs 190-something pounds.
Guy who can bang, 29 knockouts, 43 victories, end of 7. Action from the 7th round, John.
Just like all the other rounds, his back is to the ropes, and Holyfield's letting go, and now he's letting go of better, cleaner shots. Every round he seems to land better, harder, cleaner shots. And he's taking the fight over. He doesn't appear to feel like he has anything to fear.
Carlos De Leon was hurt in the 2nd round. Holyfield also scored with very solid right hands to the head in the 6th round. But that 7th round leads you to believe that the end could be near. There's that lost look in the eyes of Carlos De Leon.
You can hear the desperation. His cornerman's lost his voice, so obviously he's been screaming. So you don't do that usually unless you're desperate.
Round 8, 5 to go if Carlos De Leon can stay up on his feet that long. Holyfield said, I will pressure him. I will wear him down. Look at all this work with the left hand to open up this 8th round. Left hand after left hand, hooking to the head, throws in an uppercut, and then a straight right that perfectly splits the guards.
And this is where, this like with the Kawi fight, Holyfield loves this. Like, this is where he can really line his shots up and let his hands go the way he wants to. I'll never understand why De Leon's staying against the rope so much, though.
He's been there too much tonight. You can see some blood now from the left eye of De Leon. That doesn't help at all. Big shot from Holyfield reigns in. De Leon's not even firing back.
You're not going to take much more of this.
He is hurt.
He's definitely
Big
hurt
right hand comes in, as does Mills Lane, and it'll be a TKO win for Evander Holyfield. John Scully, a very timely and humane stoppage by Mills Lane. You had to agree with that stoppage.
Right. I mean, it's almost not even like, you know, a cause for excitement. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you're coming from behind victory. It was almost like a mercy stoppage. Apparently, I mean, I'll be interested to see what De Leon has to say. I wouldn't be surprised if he said something was wrong. Something just wasn't right with him because he just didn't have what he usually has.
A very, very bad night to not be 100% because Holyfield was every bit an A+ tonight. Here's how he closed the show.
And granted, he probably never fought anybody like Holyfield before. This was probably a big shock to him, and this was the fight in a nutshell. You watch this, and this is what happened right here.
Well, let's send it up to the ring for the official particulars for Holyfield's win.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute, 8 seconds of the 8th round. Referee Mills Lane stops the bout. The winner by a TKO and new, undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield. He now moves his mark to 18-0 with 14 knockouts, 25 years old, and sitting on top of the world of the cruiserweight division, a division that's only been around for the past 8 years. Holyfield sure knows how to close the show, doesn't he, John?
I mean, he's a finisher. He's a fighter. He's a guy. I mean, it seemed almost like he was upset in a way that De Leon wasn't putting up more of a fight. I think the more that the opponent fights back, like as much as you saw from him tonight, I think when the guys fight back harder, he steps it up. Like some guys don't step it up. They can't step it up. They don't have it in them. He has it in him. He's a fighter. And anybody he goes in against, even a heavyweight, you're not going to have to worry about Evander Holyfield taking the easy way out. He's going to go down fighting.
Well, you raised the point, so let's talk about it a little bit. He said that if he starred tonight, this would be his last fight at 190 pounds. You can see Lou Duva parading around his champion. He starred tonight. You think he's going to make the decision? It's time to go heavyweight?
Well, he couldn't have looked much better than he did tonight. And like I say, he's going to bring it. I mean, a lot of guys, they shouldn't make the mistake of thinking he's too small. Don't think you're just going to blow this guy over because he fights with heart. And you get a guy like that, he's hard to beat. I don't care how big he is.
Evander Holyfield, impressive throughout. He earns the TKO win, and he is now the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. For John Scully, I'm Joe Tessitore. Thanks for being with us.